very honored to be here and seeing so many people I know and some new faces that I hope to get to know in the future. Um, when I was asked to come and speak to this amazing group, I thought, how can I start? Because I just came and everything that happened in Ukraine is very new, and I'm still processing the whole week that I spent there. But when someone asks me what is Green Horizons all about, I'm always telling them it's to educate kids to be responsible and caring citizen in Israel. And I think if we, as an organization, that's what we want to raise, we as alumni and workers and leaders of that organization need to be role models and walk the walk, not just talk about it. That's why as soon as the war started between Russia and Ukraine, for us it was very clear that the Green Horizons has to take part of it, especially when understanding that the only people that are getting out of Ukraine to Israel are women and children and elderly people. So we said what best we can do is to help the kids that are coming into Israel. So our efforts were in Israel, families that were coming here, or schools that are coming here with kids. We said that this is what we want to do. We want to start Green Horizons activities or doing certain kind of education activities for them. And after a week into the war, one of our alumni that decided to take both of his sisters and just fly to the border with Ukraine and help the refugees that are coming into the border told us there is a huge need there. And at the beginning, lots of us raised the question if that's the place that we should go, and that's the place that we can help the most. And after a quick discussion, we decided that yes, that's the place that we want to be. We as an organization, we always inspire our kids to lead and to be in the front lines. And that's why we decided that we will start sending volunteers to the border to help the refugees where we can. And of course, during that time as well, operating activities here in Israel alongside with it. So we recruited around 150 volunteers. 30 of them were Russian speaking and Ukrainian speaking volunteers or former guides, that they will operate the activities here in Israel with orphanage school that we took under our responsibility to operate a day or two every week next to Bet Shemesh, sorry. And alongside with it, we decided that we will send 4 delegations to Ukraine. Every delegation will be for a week and work there on the border. I led the last delegation just before Pesach, Passover, the Seder. I flew there without actually knowing or understanding what I will see. I heard the people that were on the ground, what's going on there, but in my mind, I didn't manage to paint a picture of how it will feel like. As soon as I landed, I understood why we are there. I will share now a short some pictures from there. Just a second. Everybody can see. So just to put you in a place where we are, this is the map of Poland, and the border. If you can see my mouse, it's running like this on this spot. On one side is on the left side is Poland, on the right side is Ukraine. We were there. We were here in a town, small town in Poland called Medica. The border crossing is the largest border crossing between Ukraine and Poland. The majority of the more than 2 million refugees that went through Poland passed to this borderline, which is not equipped for getting so many people in very short time. And when we got there, what we saw, it's the picture on the right. We saw a huge border walk that you can see me walking there. And on that border walk, which is around 100 meters across, many tents of lots of organizations, some companies like you see Orange, which is a cellular company. And as soon as the refugee passes from Ukraine to Poland, he gets everything he ever wants. He gets food, he gets clothing, he gets equipment for stuff for the babies and the kids and even the dogs and cats and whatever he wants. Of course, the only people that you see on the border are women with kids and elderly people and people with special needs, because men, even special needs men, cannot pass the border. They're staying to join the army and fight. So when we got there, we saw this huge border walk with all those tents and all those organizations, and the former delegation told us, look, everyone is focusing on the Polish side. We decided to work on the other side. It all started with the CEO of Green Horizons, Lavi Zamir. When he landed there, he saw that the refugees are pretty much set in Poland, but he thought, if here is everything okay, what's happening on the other side, on the Ukraine? So he decided to take his passport and just cross the border and went up. And what he saw there was, as he described it, a very sad picture, because he saw huge lines of people without anything, just standing here on the cold weather of Poland. When he was there, it was even snowy, without any toilets and no food, kids, babies, very old people. Women are just standing in line for 10 to 14 hours. Sometimes they are deciding to go to the refugees camp on the other side to come the next morning. Maybe they will have better luck. And he decided that we will start bring stuff from the side in Poland to the other side. And that was our first thing to do there, the first mission. What you see here is me, Glenn, and Adar. Glenn Grossman, the people that met him, Vivian Grossman husband. And we took wheelchairs with us from the Polish side, a supermarket cart with fruits, food, water, and just started walking up around a mile and a half through the Polish side to the Ukrainian side. I came back with a passport with literally 42 stamps of Polish and Ukrainian signatures of passing the border. And we brought food there and clothes and everything to the other side. When we got to the other side, the pictures and the scene that we saw there was very complicated, very difficult. I, as Barbara mentioned, served many years in the IDF in lots of operation in Israel war. The things that I saw there were very emotional and very hard to see. I'm a third generation of Holocaust survivors. And when someone asked me a few days ago what I saw in Poland and why I'm saying it was so emotional, I told them that the stories that I heard from my grandparents about Auschwitz and Dachau, in my imagination, I pictured around what I saw in Poland was around 30% towards what I saw in Ukraine. People that in a minute lost everything in their life. They became homeless in a heartbeat. And you see women with kids that they don't know, they don't understand even what their future is like. They lost their home. Most of them probably will never see the significant one or their fathers, and they don't know where they're going to live, and they don't know if they will come back to their country. They are going one way, they don't know where they will come back and where they're going to sleep the next few days, months, years. And for me, it was devastating to know that I cannot do anything to help them except maybe help a little bit. In that moment, I told my delegation that we will be there leading, and we will be there for everything or anything that they will need, from carrying their bags to giving them food to cooking to whatever needed. After a few days, we started to take responsibility of several other uh, responsibility of several other missions in Poland. We started helping people with special needs across the border, so going up with food and supplies and coming down with people that need help. Here, this was my first day there. I saw this old lady that had the daughter, which is standing next to me, and she was 94 and her daughter was 70 something, and they didn't have even a wheelchair. She was almost not walking, so I decided to bring a wheelchair and start helping her get down, because it's around a mile and a half of a walk between the Ukrainian side where you see in the picture to the other side, the Polish side. On the left, we decided that we will take responsibility of the women tent. As soon as you go to the Polish side, there is a huge women tent when women can just go there and feel secure. And what we did is, first of all, help and give them everything they need, but also a little bit taking the kids for just like 5 minutes, so the mothers can have like a few minutes for themselves to cry, to you know think a little bit about what's going on, and just releasing the pressure of days or and weeks of caring for their kids, and just giving them few minutes for themselves. And our women from my delegation decided to take responsibility of that tent, and until we left, we kind of manage it and operate that tent, which is, I think, was one of the most impactful missions or things that we did there. Sorry. Another thing that we did, we started to operate in kindergarten. Green Horizons is very good in education. We know how to connect to kids. So what we decided to do is also work in the afternoon. In the morning, we were working in the border. In the afternoon, we were going to all kinds of refugees camp and start doing activities for the kids. This is a picture of all my delegation and a certain kind of kindergarten that we operated, just giving a kid a chance to be a kid. On my knees is Christina and Sveta, that they never saw my face until that day. And I just started playing with them, soccer and other thing, and they didn't let me go. I think they were missing someone to just play with. So I started playing with them, everything. When I came back home, I showed my girls these pictures, and my girls were immediately saying, "We want to play with you more," because they were same age as my girls. And whenever I saw girls like, or boys like that, there, I was starting, to think about my girls here in Israel, where they are safe, but those kids, they don't know anything about what's going to happen in their future. This is a picture of how the refugees camp were looking like. Uh, you are getting in a huge area, which used to be a shopping mall, shopping center, and that just bed next to a bed, next to a bed, next to a bed, hundreds and thousands of them. And that's what the refugees, families, entire families are getting into. No privacy, no showers, toilets outside of the shopping mall, and they get a number, which for me, standing in Poland, for someone to get a number was something that shook me to my bones. But those were the places that they spend between 12 hours, the lucky one, to 48 hours until they were moved to the permanent refugee camp in Poland, in Warsaw and in Krakow, that I know Makom were operating there, or to other countries, Germany, France, Spain, whatever they decided to go. I took this picture because the first time I got in, I said, nobody will believe me how it looks like. Uh, and this is a picture of my entire delegation. It was a group of all kinds of people that are connected to Green Horizons. Uh, Four of them were alumni, grew up. I know all the girls on the right side. I know them since they were 16, and today they are students. And there were two parents that used to be counselors in the Guinea Islands, and now they have kids. And we had Glenn Grossman that came from Florida to join us. So it was a very, a team that came together through the connection from our amazing organization, and just came together to help others. And for me, that's the essence of what Green Horizons is all about. Not asking questions. If there is a need, we will go there and try to help. And I think that's what we wanted to show to our kids. And I think in life, when you go through it, there's like moments that you know that you will never be the same person like you were before. For me, it was when I lost my best friend in Lebanon, and then when I became a father, and then the next place was my week in Poland in Medica. I think I'm not the same person. I don't look in the same eyes of what's happening around me. Extremely appreciative that, and thank God that we have a country that will never let something like that happen. We will protect ourselves no matter what. And I was honored and proud to be a representative of Green Horizons in Poland in Medica, and of course was proud to be a representative of JNF, because without JNF USA, we were not able to be there and help those tens of thousands of people that passed through the week where we were in Medica. Today here in Israel, as I said, we are still working with the people that made Aliyah to Israel. We are doing weekly activities with orphanage school, as I said, next to Bet Shemesh. And as soon as kind of the refugees will, the people that made Aliyah and the refugees that are coming to Israel will kind of settle in Israel, we will open a Green Horizons group, Russian-speaking group that we already are prepared for. We have counselors that are ready for it around the cities that we are operating. And we will, of course, work with the refugees' kids here in Israel and give them certain kind of activities like we know how to do the best. And that's, yeah.
It's so moving, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. We have a few questions for you. Why is the immediate response from Green Horizons in helping Ukrainian kids when they arrive in Israel so important?
I have to say that from my experience of seeing what happens in the border and the situation that the kids are getting to the border and afterwards coming to Israel, uh, I think my answer will divide to two. First of all, the mothers that are coming with the kids, they have so much on their shoulders all that time that having an activity for the kids and having certain kind of routine to those kids that are coming, that for 100% they have certain kind of post-traumatic stress disorder when they are going through what they are going through. I think that gives the mothers a little bit of time outside the situation to give the kids certain kind of things to do and for them to kind of a little bit adjust their thinking and afterwards maybe go to work and maybe starting certain kind of establish a certain kind of routine here in Israel and start thinking about how they're going to continue their lives. And without that kind of activities that will take the kids and have something to do, the parents will not be able to do it, the mothers. And second one, I think about the kids themselves. The kids that we saw were weeks and weeks of running away from someplace. For them to get to Israel and starting to play, and we saw it in the kindergarten just for like a few hours, for them, that's a game changer. That's something to take their minds out of what happened to them a few days ago, a few hours ago, and just keep their mind on something that they are used to. And I think our activities are taking that for them. And I'm not saying, okay, also showing them the beauty of Israel, but I think most of it, just giving them an opportunity of being back, giving them back their childhood and being kids and being youth.
Okay, what are the long-term plans for incorporating new immigrants into existing Green Horizon groups in the North and the South?
So as I said at the beginning, because of the language barrier, we have recruited for our counselors around 30 Russian and Ukrainian speaking counselors to start forming groups for Russian speaking. But the idea, of course, is to incorporate it both groups, Green Horizons kids that are now and kids that are coming to Ukraine to help them, the people that the one that will decide to stay in Israel and make Aliyah, to help them kind of step into the Israel society and meet peers. And the long term is start groups of Green Horizons in every place that there are refugees along either in the south or the north part of Israel, and to bring them in to our program. Of course, we will give them a chance to come without any fee, and we'll give them scholarships to go to our program through the same idea of the way that we educate kids. I think it's something that is very different than any other things that they can experience in Israel or back in Ukraine. And I think that will help even keep them here in Israel.
Okay, Ido, will you be continuing to send teams from Green Horizons to the border?
So yeah, our conversation now is to continuing to send teams through Ukraine. Of course, what we are planning now is to a little bit pivot ourselves from that border, because that border is now a little bit farther from the war zones in Ukraine. So what we want to take is all the experience and everything we learn in Medica and start doing it in Romania and Moldova, which are closer to the eastern side of Ukraine, where the fighting is now focusing on that area. Of course, we are trying to get the funds from JNF USA for that for this initiative, and initiative happening in Israel. They're working with the kids. Of course, if anyone wants to get more information about our work with Ukrainian and to learn more about Green Horizons, you can reach me or Sharon Joy, my colleague and my very dear friend, and learn much more about the Green Horizons activity regular and with the Ukrainian relief. But yeah, for your question, Barbara, we are planning to send more delegation, but focusing where the needs are, which is now in the eastern parts of Ukraine, and probably it will happen in the next few days and weeks.